All right, Drumlins are one of my favorites. They're a cool one. And what they are, these two images right here are nice individual ones, lone ones, easy to see. They're pretty substantial hills, hundreds of feet high, I'd say. And they have a very steep edge on one side and a very gradual edge on the other side. Here's one facing the opposite direction, same idea. Steep on this side, gradual on this side. And they formed, there's a couple different theories as to how they formed. So we're not entirely sure. That's for you guys to figure out. One being maybe that ice washed over a previously existing moraine as ice retreats and advances and retreats and advances and smooths them all out and creates, it's a pretty cool image right there of a whole bunch of them. So it's a glacial deposits that is, that one's not so hot. Got this steep end and this gradual end. Now, what they do, like striations, is they show us which way the ice was flowing. The ice came from the steep end and flowed down towards that direction. All right, so pretty handy. I saw one that was a map here. We live near one of the most concentrated drumlin fields in the world. If you take anywhere, like basically this triangle, north of the Thruway, not that they're not in other places, but north of the Thruway and south of Lake Ontario, on land between Oswego and Rochester, you're going to see drumlins and drumlins and drumlins and drumlins. All of the hills around here are all drumlins. One that we drive by all the time is on our way down to Cato. If we're heading south from, I live over in Sterling, so if we head this way, sorry, I don't think I'm on the right road. But I mean, really, any of them are just fine. All of these hills are all drumlins. A lot of times they're areas that are left with trees on them. That farmer got up to the top. Not super easy to farm them because they can be so steep. But yeah, there's a really nice typical one right there. Steep on this end, gradual on that end. They're just everywhere. If you guys have to do any, if the athletes are going to Cato, Hannibal, anything over there, your homework as you go over there is to look out the windows when you get over in this neck of the woods and look for drumlins. And you can't not see them. I had people get back from Cato playing baseball, and I actually went down to see the game. Say, no, I didn't see any drumlins. Like, you can't not see them. As you're standing on the baseball field, they're everywhere. Can you guys almost see how, like, you can see the shape of these, like, long hills because of the trees, because of where the farmers haven't cleared land on these steep hills, because it's not easy to. Okay, so those are drumlins. Extra cool ones, if you can convince your parents to take you to the Sterling Nature Center or Fairhaven Beach State Park, or if we want to go a little further over to Chimney Bluff State Park over here, it's actually over here, I think, you can see some really cool ones. So the Sterling Nature Center, which I work with those guys, so it's the one I'm most familiar with. What happened is, this is one of a series, and then these ones are at Fairhaven Beach State Park, of these large bluffs along the lake. If you boat over here, you'll see, you can't miss them. They're everywhere. So this would be a drumlin, and it's called a truncated or stopped, essentially, drumlin. Lake Ontario has eroded away and lets we geologists go see basically the guts of a drumlin. We get to see inside of it, which is a rarity, because Lake Ontario has done all the hard work of chopping this thing in half and letting us see what's going on there. Now, should you go here, best way to do it is to go to the Sterling Nature Center, go to this parking lot. There's a beach trail, comes down here, and you just walk along the beach until you get to the bluffs, which you can't miss. They're hundreds of feet high. Very impressive. If you do it, be safe. This is a very erosive environment. The lake is eating into these drumlins. We lose somewhere in the neighborhood of a foot of lakeshore a year over here and at the nature center because of erosion. People have gotten very hurt and killed on these things. Like college kids, like try to climb out onto these little ridges, and they're unstable. It's being eroded by the lake. It's falling apart as we speak. So don't do that. Be careful. You can even see down here where big boulders have rolled right out of it. And that's the thing. That's why I want to point this out, because if you go here, you can see giant boulders embedded with all the other particle sizes: boulders, cobbles, pebbles, sand, silt, clay. They all live together. They were all deposited here by a glacier. That's the opposite of what we expect from deposits by running water. Running water and wind are fantastic at organizing particles. In fact, if you go to the beach, you're going to see that other than the big giant boulders, it's all cobbles that are in groups of about the same size because the waves have come in and out and they've worked their thing, and they're taking sand and actually bringing it up to our end of the lake up here in Pulaski. But the glacial deposit itself, the drumlin itself, is composed of a mix of very unsorted particles. All right, so those are drumlins, these big old hills. And again, get outside of Oswego over on the west side over towards Rochester. This whole circle is just littered with them. They are everywhere. In our notes, I already filled it out because this is my second time doing the drumlin video. Depositional, long hill with steep ends pointing north. Oswego to Rochester, you'll find hundreds and hundreds and hundreds of them, with the steep end pointing north, composed of unsorted sediments. All right. Keep it up. You guys are doing great.